So I'm finding that the two main important things is number one is to actually do stuff. And this is your experience. This is just like crawling around in the mud of reality, of just figuring out how things work from just raw experience. And that's your hard work, right? And number two is your information, intelligence, knowledge. This is when you study things, you look things up to give you an idea of like how does something work, right? Also to just intellectually understand things. And when you're doing stuff, you want to try to understand also what you're doing so that you don't have to like relearn something, right? So I'll give you an example. I was playing the Apogea playtest recently, and which is like a video game. It's a very fun video game. It reminded me of Final Fantasy 11 or the original World of Warcraft. And for anyone who's played those games, they are fairly challenging games. And essentially in that game, you will continuously die over and over again. It's like Dark Souls, if anyone's played that as well. I remember dying like over 30 times to that first level and boss in Dark Souls after the tutorial, of course. And eventually, I kind of figured it out. And those games are the most satisfying and enjoyable because you actually have to work for it. And it's not just hard to be hard. Some arcade games like punishingly difficult. Now that is the aspect of working, of hard work, of just grinding continuously, seemingly almost forever, so that you gain the experience, the muscle memory. You start to feel out the world, right? In life, and things that you want to get good at, things you want to do, you have to do that. You just have to throw yourself into the wilderness or the cold water and learn how to swim or drown a little bit, unfortunately. Playing those games, same thing. While I'm losing continuously and de-leveling and dying and getting frustrated, I'm also thinking I'm understanding all of the weapons that I can find or equipment that I can find and spells. I'm analyzing and understanding like what's the best build, what's the best food or recovery items. How do you make money? What's the best way to farm experience? What level should I be? Where are the best vendors or shops? What's the map look like? So I'm intellectually thinking about all of this stuff while getting my ass handed, essentially, when playing these games. And reality is exactly the same. While grinding again and again and again, and of course, unfortunately, reality is not a game, so you essentially can't take the risks that you can in a game. Even if a game is very punishing and you lose all your items like RuneScape, maybe, it's still not quite like reality. So reality, we're almost like limited. So you kind of have to find ways to, it's like a gym. You got to find a gym for certain things, a place to exercise and practice and train, which is still a relatively safe environment where you can pick your resistance levels. And as you're exercising, intellectually you can think, oh, maybe if I focus on this part more, I put more pressure there, or if I hold it this way. And then because you have all that knowledge, the next time you train, even if you're a bit rusty, you remember, okay, I've got to hold this here and I've got to do this for this many times. And eventually what happens is that you start to conquer the world. Once you get to a high enough level in these games, you can go back to the lower level zones, and the lower level zones are much easier. You can beat all the monsters you want. You can travel around the area. Ideally, we want to make life the same, where we test ourselves on difficult things, and then eventually these difficult things become easier and easier, and then we can move up, but then we can go back to the things that were difficult, and they're not very difficult anymore. And this essentially, it expands our center of what we have control over and what we can do easily. Now, to understand that concept, you have the power, assumingly, to just walk up to your refrigerator and to open it up. And if there's like a drink there, or you got some food or whatever, you're going to cook something, you have the power to do that, right? Hopefully, right? Maybe if you don't, then you have the power to open a drawer and to, I don't know, grab the items in there and rearrange them or something. These things are simple. No one's life goal is to open the refrigerator and drink a drink. I mean, it's nice and all, but it's not really what we want to achieve in our lives, right? So we have to go beyond just that. We have to go beyond that and think like, what is our sphere, or what is like the things we can just do, right? And how far away from the things you can do right now easily, you don't really have to put any effort or energy into, you don't have to learn, from like your goals, like the things you want to do. How far off are you essentially? And the more difficult things you do, the more you learn, means you open up your scope of what is possible, and the more you practice is more things become easy, right? More things become in that sphere of ability. And eventually, in the middle is like your dreams, I guess you could say, the things you want to do. And you eventually get to that point of like being able to do more things that you actually want to do. It's like that heart space. You get to that heart space in the middle, and that's pretty much how this stuff works. But if you don't stress test yourself and get stronger and just get better and all that, and then learn how to do the things you want to do, and what you need and what it takes and such, and you're not really going to get anywhere. So anyway, it's really just to tell you that, like, at the end of the day, it really just comes down to doing things and learning about the thing you're doing, I guess, if you want to put it that way, just to expand your like abilities of what you can do. And then once you can do something, it's easy, it's like, wow, that thing was really hard. Now I can just do that whenever I want. So, it's good, right? Anyway.